Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. We're just going to give it a minute or two to give people a chance to join, and then we'll get started. Hi, everyone. We're just going to give it one more minute to give people a chance to join, and then we will get started. Thank you for joining us today for the SEO webinar. We should be ready to go. So thank you everyone for joining the SEO webinar today. We're really glad to be welcoming Hike to our webinar schedule. So Hike is an SEO agency. They help businesses and charities with a search engine optimization. So they've kindly given up some time today to talk you all through the basics of SEO and how to get some quick wins for the Christmas challenge, but also some tips for the longer term. I'm just going to go over some quick housekeeping before we get started. So there is the chat box on your right-hand side of your panel. So if you want to introduce yourselves to any of the other attendees, please, feel free to write your comments in there, share ideas, connect with other people in the chat box. Just make sure the to function is set to everyone so everyone can see what you're writing. If you have any questions for the Q&A portion, please pop them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom panel. That's where we'll pick up the questions rather than chat box, because sometimes we may miss them. And this webinar may be slightly longer than 45 minutes, so the Q&A portion may be slightly shorter. So we will be prioritizing questions more focused on the actual content of this webinar rather than the campaign itself. So if you have any questions about how the Christmas challenge works or your account or anything like that, please email us afterwards with those questions and try and focus the questions on the actual content of the webinar. We are recording the webinar, so we will have it on our YouTube channel for everyone to access or share with colleagues. And if you have any accessibility needs, if you click on more at the bottom of your Zoom panel, there should be the option to turn on the captioning, so if you need to use that. With that in mind, I'll now hand over to Georgia from Hike to get us started.
Hey all, it's great to meet you. I'm Georgia from Hike. So what we will be running through today is just quick and easy SEO wins for your website. Of course, with focus of the Christmas challenge coming up, but also, as mentioned, what we can do to improve the website long term as well, the visibility there. So just a quick introduction to the presenter, myself. My name is Georgia and I am an SEO. I'm also the customer success manager at Hike. So Hike is the SEO platform built for non-SEOs, just like yourself. And yeah, in this webinar, we're going to run through some quick wins from what we've discovered over the years. A little bit more information on what we'll be touching on. So number one, we're going to dive into keywords. We'll also then dive into on page. So what changes do we actually want to make to the website in order to optimize for these keywords that we want to go for? We'll then touch base on the tech side as well, local blogs and Q&A as well. So if anybody has any questions, please pop them into the chat. So quick wins for keywords. For keywords, what we'll be touching base on is number one, ranking for your brand name. Now, this may sound, I don't know, maybe a little bit silly. Google will naturally rank you for your brand name. However, sometimes you may notice that you're not actually yet ranking for it. So that's the first thing really that you want to do. Make sure that you're ranking for your brand name. Especially as, people are probably going to know the type of charities that they are looking to donate within this period. So making sure that you rank for your brand name, super, super important. Number two, getting mentioned. So can we get mentioned on relevant websites to get our information out there? And then we'll also relate that to Hike search box as well. So within this slide, just around again, do you rank for your brand name? And this is really simple and easy to check. All you want to do, head over to Google and just type in your brand name there. Type it within the search box. What you should be able to see is your website ranking right at the top. You should then be able to see other pages on your website as well. So maybe different service pages that you have, information about your website and your company. And we should also see social pages there as well. So any of your social medias, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Now, if you're not yet ranking for your brand name, it's probably because maybe you've only recently created the website. Maybe it's quite new. You haven't really made too much, I guess, SEO changes to it as of yet, which is completely fine. If you're not, we will be going through tips and tricks on how to really start ranking for your brand name, but also other types of keywords as well as we go on. Next, so getting mentioned. I was actually doing some research before this webinar, and I found that there was a lot of different websites that talked around, top charities in the UK, for example. Who should you donate to? So from an SEO point of view, but also I guess just as a branding point of view as well, we definitely recommend trying to get mentioned on different websites. So a great way to do this, search for top whatever industry you serve in, charities in the UK, and have a look, see what's ranking on that first page of Google. You can see some examples here from what I found. And what we would recommend doing is maybe reaching out to the website. You should be able to see their details on the website and just introduce yourself, ask them if you could be mentioned. But also, this can happen naturally as well as you continue working in your business and maybe you're running different events like the Christmas one, for example. And the more content that you create, naturally people will want to reference you within their website as well, which is just so great from an SEO point of view. Google can see that different websites are referring to you, but also people coming on to these types of informational blog pages as well are then being made aware of your website too. Next is keyword opportunity. So not only do we want to rank for your brand name, but we also want to start having a look to see if we can start ranking for keywords that are very much related to your industry. So an example here, I have breast cancer charity. If that's the industry that you serve in, what you want to do, have a look to see if you can then start including that type of keyword within different pages on the website, which I'll go into as well. But yeah, not only do you want to rank for your brand or company name, but also closely related keywords as well. This is really great. So if maybe someone is looking for a charity, but they're not too sure what charity they're looking for, but they know that they know of the cause that maybe they want to donate or even volunteer with, then this is a great way of them being able to find you. And ideally, you want to be showing here on the search result pages. So voted number 1, Jesus. So just a quick tip, if you wanted to maybe explore this further, you can do that within Hike. So all you want to do, we have a keyword research section within the platform. And again, it's very, very beginner. So no worries if you have not conducted keyword research before. But all you need to do is you can come into this section here and just use that search box. You can type in different keywords, have a look at competitors as well, see what they're ranking for, and that can really help identify different types of keywords that you'd want to go for there. So next we're going to move to on page. What on page is it's very much just making changes to your website. So what we'll touch base on is keywords. So where should we put them keywords into the website, into them different pages? How much should we optimize on the website as well? But also, we don't want to duplicate any copy. So that's something important to bear in mind is, let's say we had quite similar pages created for quite similar needs. Let's say if we have our breast cancer services for people under the age of 18 maybe, but then we also had another breast cancer service or campaigns running for women over 50, for example, or males over 50. What we want to make sure is that the copy on both of them pages are very unique. It's not just a case that we're changing the age or the gender, for example, to suit the purpose. We just want to make sure that all of the copy is unique. Google loves fresh copy. Users love fresh copy as well when visiting your website. So I just want to make sure that we don't have duplicates there. So in adding them keywords, whether this be your brand name or maybe that's a keyword that's very much relevant to your industry, again, just using breast cancer charity as the example here, we want to make sure that we have that keyword within different places on the website or the web page. You know, naturally, if you type in that keyword into Google, naturally you're going to be skimming for that keyword. You're going to be reading what we call the title tags here, which is this text here. So you want to make sure that you have it included within there. But you also want to make sure we have it included within the H1 heading. And what that is basically the big heading at the top of the page. In the meta description, so the meta description is showed here, where it gives you a short description of, you know, what this web page is around, but also the actual copy of the page as well. So we always recommend try to include it within the first sentence, right at the top of the copy, but making sure that we include it naturally as well. So we don't just want, you know, this keyword added in loads of times within the content. As a user, you'll probably come onto that and you'll be like, whoa, maybe I want to go off this web page. So yeah, just making sure that we include that very naturally as well. So next is more around optimizing more. So Google does look at your website as a whole. So we have the examples here. If it's 10% optimized versus 90% not optimized, it's probably not going to perform as well as it could, compared to if it was 90% optimized and 10% not optimized, you're going to be performing a lot better. So this is definitely more of a, I guess, long-term goal. You know, short-term, it's going to be a lot more difficult to optimize the whole of the website, especially if it is a large website. So yeah, definitely thinking more long-term here, but we would recommend, you know, following these quick wins to begin with as well. So just to go on to that, just to kind of clarify, sorry guys, is that we just want to make sure that you'll probably have certain pages in mind as well that you know are really important to your website and that you really want to, you know, show to the user on the search result pages. It may be the home page or it may be, of course, an event coming up. But yeah, we want to make sure that, of course, we can prioritize some pages, but also making sure that we don't have duplicate copy maybe on the rest of the other pages, or we have pages that you click onto and it's just a dead page, because that's not great from a user experience and Google sees the whole website as well. So moving on then, quick wins for tech. So this is more of the technical side of SEO and what we can do there. Again, this is very much focused on quick wins, but we can also touch base on the longer term solutions there as well with some tips and tricks. So what we'll touch base on is the site search. We'll also touch base on page speed and URLs as well. What should our URLs look like? So One thing that I would definitely recommend to do, and this is something that I didn't learn about until I joined Hike, is going into Google, putting site, colon, and then your domain, your website URL. What that will then do is what we call a site search. So all of the pages that Google picks up for your website will show there. And you'll be able to see at the top just here, it says roughly how many results are there. So this is quite important because sometimes Google, or maybe you've made the change by accident in the back end of the website, but sometimes Google won't display every single page on your website within the search result pages. Whilst that's okay, maybe there's some pages that you actually don't want to show, if a user searches your brand name, maybe. Maybe there's certain pages that you don't really want a user to see. But what you want to make sure is that you have the important pages being able to rank on the search result pages. Definitely, of course, your homepage, your service pages, etc. Anything that's going to bring value to a user when searching for you. You want to make sure that they can see them pages. So what you can do in Hike is Hike does show you how many pages have been found by our own crawler, by our software. So what you can do is really you want to make sure that it matches. If it doesn't, then we can of course look at the Google search results of what Google displays just to see if there's any discrepancy there. But really, this is just making sure that your website and them important pages can be found by a user because, of course, we want them coming onto the page. So another quick win is for page speed is images. So page speed, there can be actually a lot of factors, but one of the quickest and probably one of the most important, I would say, elements of page speed is images. So page speed, all that is just essentially how fast or slow does your website load. Page speed, of course, is super important, not only for Google, but also as a user. I'm sure many of you may have gone onto a website and it's just taken so long to load where you're like, okay, I'm going to hop off now and find another website instead. Google sees that as well, and also it's not great from a user point of view. So you want to make sure that the page speed or the website loads at a nice pace. It's not taking ages to kind of go through the different URLs on the website. So one of the quickest ways, of course, is images. So images, they can take up a lot of space and can really slow down the page speed. Of course, if they're really big, for example. So what you probably want to do is actually have a look. There are so many free plugins out there that you can install to the back end of the website, whether your website is built on WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, etc., or even a custom CMS. There is so many plugins out there to use, and even better, a lot of them are free. So all you need to do is basically just kind of download it into the back end and it works in the background, which is really nice. And it can just improve your page speed by so much, particularly if you have, them really big images because it compresses them. A best way to find what the best plugin is have a look to understand what CMS your website is built on. A very popular one is, of course, WordPress, again, Squarespace. Have a look at the reviews, etc. You'll be easily be able to find one that way. But also as well, if you are within Hike, we do have actions. So we do identify, oh, okay, maybe this image is quite big. You want to reduce it or compress it. Then the platform will offer guides on how to do that with recommended plugins, etc. as well, based on what your website's built on. So next, touching base on URLs. So URLs, it's more around Yeah, CTR rather than rankings. So one thing that I would definitely recommend not to do is don't go back, change all of your website URLs, the page URLs here, because they don't really have much impact on your rankings. So if you try to replace them and add in your keywords instead, for example, it's not really SEO best practice. We don't recommend doing that. But this is more of a longer term goal, really, is just making sure that you have very much user-friendly URLs. It says exactly what the content is around, very much summarizes that. So yeah, really nice way in just making sure that the structure of the website is nice for Google, but also again from a user point of view. I'm not sure if you guys have ever been onto a website and you have a look at the URL and there's a lot of question marks maybe and slashes and it looks quite codey. For me, I know I'm a bit like, oh, am I about to get scammed here? So I definitely want to hop off. So yeah, just making sure that it matches that if you go onto the website, you would be happy to kind of see that URL and it makes sense to you. Amazing. So now we're going to touch on local. So number one, do you have a Google listing, otherwise known as a Google business profile? And if you don't, we do recommend doing it or creating one. It's quite easy to do so. But also, if you then do, just running through tips on how to improve the visibility of the Google business profile as well. So,
Sorry, George, just to cut in. Do you mind just explaining what CTR is and for any other acronyms you use, just explaining the name and what it is?
yeah, of course. Apologies. So CTR is just click-through rates. So click-through rate is basically the rate at which people will click onto the URL, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, CTR is all around trying to get people to click onto the URL, and of course they would want to do that as long as it's quite self-explanatory. It's not got loads of like question marks, etc. in that URL. So it's just ensuring that people will see that and they feel comfortable to then click on to that website URL there. With the Google listing or Google business profile, all that is basically, it looks like this. So it's like a local listing that you'll be able to see here. I'm sure if you searched, maybe if you was looking for somewhere to eat dinner maybe or breakfast, you might search for restaurant near me or best breakfast place near me. You'll then be able to see some recommendations from Google within the Google Maps, like here, for example. So that's really what you want to have, particularly if, as a service-based business, you want to make sure that you have a Google listing. Again, it can very much be a quick win. And also a long term as well by making sure that we update it frequently, following the best practices that I'll run you through too. So within the Google listing or Google business profile, as mentioned, this is an example of what it could look like. What you really want to do is make sure that it has up-to-date information. So it's got your business name, it has the address, maybe the business categories that you serve, and also the description as well. Not only is this great from, I guess, an SEO point of view, so as I mentioned, if somebody's searching for maybe local charity events near me, that you can show up there. But it's also great if somebody already knows, okay, I'm looking for this business or this charity. And it's really nice at allowing the user to easily contact you as well, because you can have that contact information, for example, so they can learn more about your business that way. And if they need to, contact you. So, does your business have a Google listing? what you can do in order to have a look, maybe you're unsure, simply head to Google and search your brand name within there. Do you see a listing on the right-hand side where it should display for your business? If it does, amazing, you have one set up. If it doesn't, then more than likely you don't yet have a Google listing set up. So we would recommend creating one. So once we have a Google listing created, just a few tips and tricks on how you can best optimize that or make it better for a user coming onto there, when they see your Google listing. One great way is Google Posts. So these are kind of like mini blog posts that you can add onto your listing. The way it would look, by the way, is you'll be able to see your listing at the top, and these will fall just underneath. They appear at the bottom of the listing. They're only live for 7 days, but you can see historic posts as well. There is a correlation as well between frequently posting and better visibility as well. So basically meaning that the more you post, the more likely your Google listing is to rank higher in the search result pages. So again, thinking more long term. But these posts as well are so nice if you have an event coming up, like the Christmas challenge, for example. Maybe you're running any volunteering events, etc. So it's really nice there at gaining traction as well. Another way is FAQs. So FAQs, they appear on the listing, and questions can be asked by customers, or we could also create our own questions on our own account as well. So maybe you have some common FAQs in mind. You could even add them in rather than waiting for a customer, for example, or someone or a user, for example, to ask them. You can actually ask them yourself and also answer the question as well. And what's really great about that as well is because the author of the question isn't displayed, so nobody would know that it was you asking that question. It's super important to review and reply to all of these questions that are asked. You don't want, of course, someone else to answer and give the incorrect information. And we do advise posting and answering your own questions that are commonly asked, as mentioned. So this is a great way, again, at displaying even more information around your business, any common FAQs that you may receive quite frequently, adding them in. But it's also a great way long term too, with regards to looking just to, I guess, optimize the Google listing overall. Google would prefer a Google listing that has more content that is responding to questions that customers may have asked compared to a Google listing that doesn't really look like someone's managing it, if that makes sense. So making sure that you are actively reviewing and answering them questions is important. Next is images. So images are a really great feature of a Google business profile, that Google listing there. And Google just want you to add as many as possible. So we can see here that Google listings with images receive up to 42% more clicks. I know myself as well, just having a look, reading through text, I can shut off a little bit. Rather, if I see images, it very much, makes it better. I'm a lot more engaged. Now, the images can be added by yourself as the business owner, but also by customers as well. And Google does recommend that you add new images as often as possible. Ideally, try to do so every month. Again, this will be very nice, particularly if you have images from a recent event, for example. Different types of images that you can add to the Google listing. So your profile photo, cover photo, and logo. Maybe interior and exterior photos. So this is, I guess, more of like a local business, say for a restaurant, for example, but still might be nice to maybe post, again, them events or offices, for example. Team photos, I know that they work really, really well from our end as well. So we always used to have team photos on our Google listing, and I know they got quite a few clicks. And just ensuring that we update them regularly, so once a month. Another great way to help support your Google business profile or Google listing is creating citations. Now, all a citation is basically it's mentions of your business on a directory such as Yellow Pages, for example, or another website. So what the information that we recommend having on Yellow Pages or another website is what we call NAP. So it just means your name, your address, and your telephone number. We like to refer them to as local backlinks, which is basically a link from one website pointing to another. But it is super, super important that the information added to them other websites or directories like Yellow Pages is consistent. So it all says the same information and is all up to date as well and accurate. So with this example, what you'll be able to see, the business name within here, the address as well for the location. You'll also be able to see the phone number and the website link as well. So not only is this great from a user perspective, coming onto a directory maybe or another website and then seeing it kind of like as a referral from the website. But it's also great from an SEO point of view as well, because Google sees, okay, this is a trusted web page that have been doing SEO for a long time maybe, and they're also linking to this other website, so therefore I should trust that website too. So next we're going to move on to quick wins for blog. So blogs, by the way, are really, really great from an SEO point of view for different reasons. Not only do they show that you are an expert within your field, but Google loves fresh content, and blogs are a great way of adding fresh content to your website. Blogs are also great at supporting the pages where maybe you're trying to sell your services or your products, for example, through what we call internal linking that I'll touch base on as well. So if you don't yet have a blog, I do recommend creating one. Ideally, you want to create new blog content I would say probably aim for one blog post a month. If that's too much, once every 2 or 3 months, that should really, really help there. Sorry, just going back. So what we will run through is auditing old pages, so old blog pages. We then want to look at refreshing them, making sure they're all up to date. We'll also have a look at ideas on how to create new blog content. Where should I look? What blog should I create? And then, of course, internal linking. So with this then, of course, want to make sure that the blog content is all up to date. So try and have a look for blog posts that have not received any organic traffic in the last 6 months. Now, organic traffic, by the way, all that means is it's traffic coming from SEO basically. So somebody searches something on the search result pages, like here, 2023 charity activity, for example. If they click onto your website here, as long as it's not a paid ad at the top, then that will class as organic traffic. So someone who's just organically found your website through the search result pages. Now, blog posts that have not received any organic traffic in the last 6 months, it kind of shows, okay, they're not performing as well as what they could. So that's what you want to have a look out for. How to see that traffic, you can have a look if you have Google Analytics set up. you can have a look in the back of Google Analytics. There is a lot of guides and resources out there, by the way, on how to find organic traffic in the back end of Google Analytics. So if you're interested in this, I would recommend just giving it a quick Google. Google have a lot of guides there as well, a lot of helpful content. So yeah, should it be too difficult to find the guide and follow that information to discover, okay, how do I see what pages don't have much organic traffic in the last 6 months? What you then want to do now, you have a list of maybe them blog pages that haven't had organic traffic or traffic from SEO within the last 6 months, is have a look, what can we do to improve that? Again, this is definitely more thinking more long term for your website's SEO, but you can have a look, can the blog be refreshed? So for example, if I'm searching for charity events in 2023, we might have a charity events in 2021, for example. Maybe I could have a look at actually just refreshing that content to make sure that it matches 2023 instead of 2021. Or maybe the blog post could be combined with another blog post. So maybe I actually want to combine the two. Maybe the charity events that we were running in 2021 might be nice to combine to this so people can see, okay, this is what we did in 2021. Maybe this is what we did in 2022, and this is what we're doing in 2023. You can also have a look at the actual content itself that needs updating. So is it thin or poor quality? And what we mean by that, pardon me, maybe there's not too much content on the page. It's what we call thin content. Or maybe it's not the best written, for example, or maybe there's not too many images, etc. on there. If that's the case, then it may actually be better just to set up what we call a 301 redirect from the old page, pointing to the new one that we're going to create. All a 301 redirect is, by the way, is basically if I go to a URL and instead of it taking me to a dead page, a 404, it tells it's sorry, I just tried to explain this. It's set up so if I go to that page, instead of it just taking me to that page or a dead page, it would just automatically take me to another one instead. So it's called a 301 redirect. Again, if you ever want to set up a 301 redirect, there's a lot of information and guides out there that can really help with that, explaining more around what a 301 redirect is. And also, this is easily set up with a plugin as well on the back end of the website. So just installing a plugin, and that can really help with that. Also as well, Hike also offers step-by-steps on 301 redirects as well if you're ever looking for more guidance there. So they're the different kind of choices, I guess, that you have to take in looking to refresh old blog content. Because if it's not getting much traffic anymore, it hasn't got any organic traffic coming within the last 6 months, then you definitely want to look at refreshing it. How can I best optimize that to make sure that it is bringing in traffic to the website? People are coming in to the website through that page. So another thing what you can do is just have a quick Google search if you're unsure. So maybe you know the name of the blog post. So I have this example here. And Google just selects or tells you the date in which it was published. So in which the page was pushed live. So you can see this here. This is in the search result pages. So have a look at them, of course, look at updating your key posts. So this could even be not just blog pages, but also your important service pages, for example, or your event pages. So if a page was written in 2019, quite a few years ago now, would it still rank? More than likely not. So I definitely recommend following them previous steps to try and optimize that further, refresh the content with them different ways. So now having a look at new blog ideas, where should we look to create new blog ideas? And a great way to do this is actually having a look in Google as well, in the section People Also Ask. So if you search something in Google, you've probably seen this before, where Google suggests, hey, why don't you have a look at these questions that other people ask? And these are a really, really great way of finding new blog ideas, new blog titles. What should we create blog content around? Because we know that people are asking these, so therefore we want to create content to answer them. So instead of sending them maybe to a competitor, we should be able to, be showed there instead. So people can get the answer to their question from us and come onto our website instead of a competitor's. Now, if you are looking to create new blog contents, which as mentioned, definitely recommend doing so. Within the platform, we do have a feature called the Content Wizard, and it is a AI writer which will instantly create in-depth content for any People Also Ask question. So in the platform, we do have a feature where you add in a keyword and it brings back all of the People Also Ask questions like we've just seen here. And yeah, what you can do is you can run the Content Wizard, which is our AI tool, to actually create that content as well. So if you've ever used AI, you'll probably you might have used AI before to actually create blog content or service page content, or even social media, for example, social media posts. AI is a really great way at creating blog content. But we do recommend from an SEO point of view that if you do use AI, that you use it as a base layer and you make sure that you add your own tone of voice, etc., to that as well, to make sure again that it's unique to you, to your tone of voice, and to your website. So just a quick snippet of what that looks like in Hike. So this is, as I mentioned, the section where you can find new content ideas and the list of People Also Ask, Google content ideas and videos as well. Once you add one of these ideas, it will go to your content scrapboard. And this is where you can see that Content Wizard tool as well. So that's where you click onto it and it will create up to 700 words of unique copy. Next, just having a look at internal linking. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier on, but internal linking is a really, really great way at supporting your service pages or the pages where you really want users to go to. This may be your homepage, for example. Super important page there that you may want, you'd maybe prefer people to go to that page. So what an internal link is basically, it's just a link from one of your web pages pointing to another one of your web pages, all on the same website. You may have seen an internal link before where it may say, click here for more information, for example, and it's got text, but it's also, if you click onto it, it'll take you to another page. That's all an internal link is. Now, with internal links, a really, really great way to use them is by using keywords as anchor text. So in that example I just gave, the click here, for example, or find out more, that would be the words written down. And the link will go within that. So instead of saying maybe click here, if you use a keyword there, let's say breast cancer charity, for example, we have a blog post around breast cancer charity where we mention maybe breast cancer charity or breast cancer volunteering events. What we can do, use that as anchor text and create an internal link pointing to the page that we want that keyword to show for. So it's a really, really great way at passing on that value to them all important pages as well. Now, a great way to identify internal link opportunities is again by doing what we call a site search in Google. So all you need to do, go into Google, type in site, put your website URL, and then have a look at a keyword. So this may be charity events, for example. Google will then show you on the search result pages all of the pages that Google finds relevant to that keyword. So what you can then do is you can then have a look at them pages that Google's showing here to see, okay, can I create any internal links here? Ideally, Google really likes the content of the pages to be linked. Google likes links across the website, just like we have a little bit in the menu bars, but Google likes them to be added in naturally within the content through anchor text or internal links per se. Amazing. So moving on to questions.
Amazing. We have
Hi.
lots and lots of questions, so we'll try and get through as many as possible. But firstly, thank you for some really insightful tips that I think I'll take forward myself as well. But Sahil, do you want to start? You're on mute.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, we have a lot of questions and not a lot of time. So we have tried to group the questions to hopefully answer a bit of everything.
Amazing.
Is streamlining your site important for SEO, and what sort of page load speed should charities be aiming for, or organizations in general?
Oh, great question. So page speed, it has a lot of different elements. So I probably would recommend Googling that actually, because there will be a full guide there rather than trying to really dive into the page speed aspect right now. There is a lot of information. And of course, feel free if you head over to hikeseo.co's website, you can also reach out to our live chat there and we can find you some resources and guides to send over. Streamlining your site important for SEO. Sorry, Sarah, do you mind explaining just a little bit more around what you mean by streamlining?
Yeah, so they've had a huge number of pages added to their site to host small amounts of information. So the person saying they get 9,820 results. Obviously, this is a risk in terms of information aging out, but does it also impact SEO?
Yeah, great question. So with regards to the content on the pages, we do normally recommend, it depends what type of pages they are, but we do normally recommend a minimum of 300 words of content per page, just to make sure that the user, Google as well, can understand what the content is around. And also it's a great way to add in your keywords there. So as long as them pages are optimized, following best practices, then yeah, shouldn't be fine, should be all good.
Great, thank you. Beth, do you have a question?
Yeah. So other than not duplicating and using keywords, is there anything else charities could do to optimize their copy?
Oh, great question. Main one really is, without repeating myself, making sure that you have unique content on there. The internal linkings as well should really, really help. So whenever we create new content, maybe for a client, for example, we always have 2 internal links and 1 external as well. So it's quite nice actually for you to create a link to another website that's trusted. So maybe a government website, for example, or another charity in mind as well. So that would be a recommendation. And also making sure that you have images, etc., on the page too, which is really nice to break up the copy.
And just quickly on the images, should you also be adding alt text to images? Does that affect anything?
Yes, we do recommend adding alt text to images. It is a ranking factor. It's not as high priority as other ones, like adding the keywords into the H1 headings or title tags, for example. But alt text is, yeah, definitely recommend. Try to include the keyword within the alt text as well, where you can.
Great. We've had a few charities ask a similar question. Basically, they're wondering if a Google business listing is suitable for their charity. So, for example, some of them are saying they're a remote organization, no head office. Would you still recommend having a business listing, or if they don't want to particularly list a private residence as on the
Yeah.
listing, how do you go about that? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. It is up to you, of course, and depending on your focus, maybe your priority would be the website instead. With the Google listing, though, you don't have to add in a physical address. You can add a surface area instead. So we don't recommend adding in if you work maybe from home, for example. Don't recommend adding that in. Google doesn't like that either. But you can add your kind of service areas instead, as an alternative. But what's really nice from a charity as well, although maybe you don't have a physical office, I don't know, maybe you're based in Birmingham, for example, or London, and I feel like from I don't know, a user perspective that a lot of people do like to donate to local charities as well. So I wouldn't recommend potentially missing out on that opportunity at the same time. But it's up to you.
Great. Betsy, you have a question?
Yeah, charity has about blogs. Is we have an older website with lots of old blogs, probably many with no or any organic or SEO traffic. Is it best to remove them or try to update them?
Great question. So if they're old blogs but still on the same domain, we don't ever really recommend removing a page at all, because it will then, if somebody ever finds that link through, maybe a link on the other part of the website, or if they still find it somehow, it will take them to a dead page. Google doesn't like that, the user doesn't like it. So we would recommend instead set up that 301 redirect that I touched base on to a similar page, or look at refreshing the content.
Great. And I think the next question, you may have a special offer for charities, but someone has asked, is Hike free to use?
So Hike isn't free to use, unfortunately. We do offer a 14-day money back guarantee. So if you don't like it, you can, of course, cancel within 14 days, get that money back. But we do offer 50% off for charities for life. So do you need to try find that link just to send over in the meantime?
Great. Yeah. While Georgia also finds a link to put in the chat. I don't know if you will also be able to ask this. Does Google mind the use of SEO? Sorry, does Google mind the use of AI? Does it impact SEO if you use it?
Yeah, great question. So there has been a lot of questions around AI in the SEO community recently, as you can imagine. Now, Google has openly said that it won't penalize your website at all for using AI. However, with all content, not just AI content, we want to make sure that it follows SEO best practice. So as I mentioned, use AI as your base layer, but still add your own tone of voice, add them internal links, add the headings, for example, and making sure that it's unique.
Great. Betsy, do you have a question?
Yeah, a more general question. Is Google for Business different from Google for non-profits? Basically they have a Google business profile, but can they have a Google business profile if they are a non-profit?
Yeah, I believe they should. I'm not 100% sure though, unfortunately, and I apologize for that. I can take a quick look after and get back to you guys if that's okay, with some more information there. But that's a really great question.
Yeah, and as ever, you can also reach out directly to Hike for any questions about SEO as well.
Yeah.
And just to flag, Google also do AdWords, free AdWords for charities. So there's a grant that all charities can get. So that's more to do with PPC, but Georgia was telling us before that ties in nicely with SEO. So obviously there
It
is that
does.
learning curve with PPC, but if you can have the capacity to learn about it, it's basically free money for you to use and improve your rankings and helping people find you more.
Hmm.
There's an
And
interesting one about
yeah.
labels. Essentially, their CMS has an SEO tab enabling us to add meta titles and descriptions and tags. But is there still any value in populating these? Because apparently Google might not use meta tags anymore. Not sure if you know.
Yeah, so sorry, sometimes there is different terminology for like title tags. Some people also use meta tags. So if it's title tags or page titles that you're referring to, where you see that kind of like link of text when you search in the search result pages, then yes, absolutely, it is still a ranking factor. If it's meta tags, which I'm thinking of, so this was an old school SEO best practice where you would go into the back end of the website and you'll add loads of different keywords as meta tags. That isn't a ranking factor anymore. It's very much outdated. So if it's the meta tags, we don't recommend having them in, instead removing them, because Google does find them spammy.
And Charity's asking, how do we create / edit a Google listing? Because it looks like they have one, but an old colleague set it up and they want to add images, make changes to it. Is there an
Yeah.
easy way to access that?
Yeah, so you may have to reach out to Google support if you are struggling with access to that, just to kind of take ownership. You will need to be able to log into the Google listing. So it's literally just like logging into any other account, really, where you log in. But yeah, you may have to reach out to Google support to see what you can do there.
And when you log in, is that where you also can create the mini blog posts that you're referring to? Is that through
The live
logging in?
posts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can do that within, yeah, through logging in within the back end of Google Business Profile. But we also do have a feature in Hike as well, which is very, very user friendly, where yeah, it's you can just create everything that you can in the back end of Google Business Profile in Hike as well.
Is there? Oh, thanks, Georgia, for putting
Oh,
the
yep.
offer in the chat. So if anyone, oh, I think it's just set to us, so we'll resend it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. If anyone wants to find out more about Hike or take them up on that generous offer, head over to Hike. And there was a question, sorry, that I was just trying to find. Oh yeah, is there a list of sorry, I'm trying to find. Yeah, is there a list of places that organizations should put their NAP? Is there like a list of
Mhm.
those sites where they should be adding it to?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So you can see that in Hike. Hike does populate it. However, of course, if you don't have access to Hike, I would probably just have a quick Google. Charity citation listings, for example, you should be able to find some there. But also go for the most common ones as well, like Yellow Pages, for example, etc. as well. Yeah, I'd probably just give it a quick Google. You'll have quite a good list there.
One is that every charity should be having, but one that we have spotted quite a few times is that the charity commission data is not up to date. So the email address may just be missing, or the website. So make sure your charity commission data is up to date, because that'll be one of the highest ranking things that comes up when a charity search for you.
Yeah.
Beth, do you have any last questions before we wrap?
I guess just, do you have any like top tips for charities approaching this for the first time?
Yeah, great question. So top tip, I would probably say, take it step by step. It's not a sprint by any means. With SEO, the idea is that you don't want to make all of the changes and that's it. It is a step-by-step process where you have to make changes to the website every month. And as a charity, you may or may not have too much time and resource, which is completely fine. As long as we would normally recommend 2 hours per month if you can towards the SEO. Then that will really, really help long term. So yeah, just think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. And if you ever need any support, of course, reach out, ask questions. Like mentioned, you can also reach out to us. But yeah, that's my top tip.
Thank you. That's really helpful and lots of insights. And just a reminder to charities that this webinar has been recorded, so it will be available for you to view on our YouTube channel either later today or early tomorrow, so you can have a chance to share amongst your teams. But yeah, without further ado, I just want to thank you, Georgia, for taking this time out, and hope we'll see a few of your charity faces again for our next webinar.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much, and thank you everyone who's joined.
Thank you.
Take
Cheers.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.